Welcome back to Between Two FARS. I'm Warnike Miller, here once again with my favorite NASA procurement law attorneys, Michael Mark and Robert Tepfer. And before we get started today, when we're talking about the resolution of disputes and some of the flexibilities that you have as an attorney and a contracting officer for the timelines to resolve your initial dispute before issuing a contracting officer decision, I want to talk about some of the technological advances that we're making here at Between Two FARS. First of all, as you can see, we're getting better at using Teams, sort of. We're still isolated due to COVID-19, but it looks like I'm in my office, doesn't it? Because we've learned to drop backgrounds, and I used an old picture of me from my office, so now I feel like I'm in my office again. Another advancement, they have bought me a 4-month license for some awesome editing software, and I'm really looking forward to using this to edit our Between Two FARS. I'm still learning how to use it, but when I told Bob about it, he was very, very excited because the same software has been used to edit some pretty famous movies, including an Arnold Schwarzenegger movie and a Robert Redford movie. So Bob needed me to let you all know that Bob and Mark really are NASA's Arnold Schwarzenegger and Robert Redford of procurement law. And this is true because we now have the software that was used to edit their movies. So I will no longer refer to them as Statler and Waldorf. My apologies. They really are more like Robert Redford and Arnold Schwarzenegger because the software that we're using is the same software that was used to edit The Old Man and the Gun and the newest Terminator movie. So my apologies. As you can see, this is the more accurate representation of our NASA Terminator and our NASA leading man for procurement law. So with that introduction, let's try to get started and talk about what we're here to talk about today. Gentlemen, you have been told by your contracting officer that there's a dispute going on with the contractor, and they are going to be asking for a contracting officer's final decision. What sort of things do we have to understand? Are we rushing to issue a contracting officer's final decision?
Yeah, I would not advise that you rush, because once you get to that point, if they engage outside counsel, they're not going to go away. That's a very critical thing for them to effectively, make a separate contract. That lawyer is going to effectively find an issue and litigate, because that's what they do, and anything else is unemployment. They need to understand in large part that the case belongs to them and always will belong to them. It may seem like it's a legal issue, and it will be, but we're kind of the helper, and they will go through and do all the discovery, whether or not it be thousands or millions of documents. They will respond to interrogatories, and they will sign up to them and swear to them, and they will ultimately take the stand in depositions. And they need to understand the time that's going to be involved for that, the travel that they're going to have to pay for. And it also is disruptive if it's a large systems contract or even a small one, from the standpoint that people that routinely live in a badgeless society are now going to effectively be told, watch what you say. It gets rid of a kind of a relationship that they've developed over years by being advocates for their particular position. That's fine if they want to go in that direction and do that, but they need to understand that early on before they get down the path and then say, okay, lawyer, take it over.
But what about these timelines, Michael? I mean, doesn't the FAR tell us that when a contracting officer's final decision is requested, we have to just go ahead and issue it within 2 months?
Well, not really. And you would put up the provision in the disputes clause. And before you even get to that, the first thing you need to look at is particularly if it's over $100,000, there's some magic words that are in the wording of the FAR clause just above that, the 2 little triple I, which says you have to certify that the claim was made in good faith. If they don't do that, it's not a good claim. It's the one below that. Yep. And Then the language in paragraph E there says that the contracting officer has to make a decision within 60 days on claims of $100,000 or less, but for claims of over 100,000, which is the bulk of them, you have to tell them within 60 days when you're going to make that decision if you can't get it done within 60 days. My advice always has been take your time. When we get maybe halfway through and you understand the scope of the issue, then you need to go back to them and say, okay, we're looking at this and we're going to need more time, and give them an estimate and give yourself enough time, usually at least another 90 days or so. And you may have further questions that you're going to ask of them before you issue that final decision. I need more facts. I don't understand this. You haven't documented that. And that may also begin to, as Bob says, to expose some of the holes in the contractor's case. But in doing that, the contracting officer is also going to begin to understand the holes in our case. And as Bob said, it's the CO that's got to make this decision, and it's not the lawyer that's going to make the decision. It's the contracting officer, and with a lot of help from their program people. So you need to keep them involved.
You're really able to open up this this window of time to truly do some dispute resolution, some fact gathering, and try to resolve it at this lowest possible level.
Absolutely. If you can get it agreed to without having to issue a final decision, that's a very good thing. And I've seen that in my time at NASA. We did it in the Air Force, although not as frequently. I've had one or two times where the contractors filed what I would call a prophylactic appeal to the board, almost as a deemed denial, which is where the CO does not issue a decision in a reasonable time. But that was just basically to preserve their rights should we be unable to settle, and we've always been able to settle. So I think it's important to give yourself sufficient time to calmly and objectively go through and understand the facts on both sides of the case, and to formulate an opinion as to what are the merits of this case. As Bob said, you've got a relationship with this contractor that's going to go on notwithstanding this claim. How badly do you want to damage that relationship? It may be that you do need to damage it, or that the claim really doesn't have a lot of merit, but you need to understand that before you make that decision, because once you make that decision, the contract officer is going to be pinned to it, and Bob's going to talk a lot about that, I think, in some future episodes. It's his decision, and he needs to agree, or her decision, and they need to agree with that.
Yeah, let's come back next time and talk a little bit about the role of the attorney and the contracting officer in the actual drafting and finalization of the contracting officer's final decision. Guys, come back again next time and talk a little bit more about that?
Be glad to, yes.
All right. See you back again next time between two FARS. Okay, we should be recording here, and I will get my side. And I've got the side that I've had to repaint 3 times. Every time it goes through the dishwasher, I have to repaint it.
Nope, you disappeared.
Yeah, there we go. How's that? Welcome back to Between Two Between Three FARS. I'm looking at the 3. All right, let's try that again. As you can see, even though we're in COVID-19, it looks like I'm in my office because we've learned how to drop backgrounds into our team's presentations. Although if I move to the side, it looks like I'm a double mint twin because that was an office picture that was taken a couple of years ago. And this software program is excellent because, oh shoot, I'm sharing the wrong thing. Let me start again. That was the wrong one. We've done that one before. All right, let me stop sharing my screen. I'm gonna stop recording. And we're gonna try again.